the House of Representatives on Tuesday aligned with the Senate to ask President Bola Tinubu to sack the chairman of the Code of Conduct Tribunal, Danladi Umar, for alleged misconduct. Now, the Senate recently passed a resolution asking the president to remove Umar as CCT chairman. The law that enabled his removal requires the National Assembly to forward an address supported by two-thirds majority of the Senate and House of Representatives, which shall be acted upon by the president. The motion to support the position earlier taken by the Senate was moved by Julius Ihombere of Edo State. In doing so, he held that the CCT are one of the key components of federal institutions saddled with the statutory responsibility of maintaining high standards of morality in the conduct of government business and ensuring that the actions and behavior of public officers always conforms with the highest standards of public morality and accountability. We're now being joined by Adeyinka Olumide-Fusika, a senior advocate of Nigeria of City Point Chambers, to have a look at the position of the law and the Constitution on this matter. We'd like to thank you for joining us here on Newsday this afternoon.
Thank you for having me.
So, concerning the removal, how do you react to the news? Some are wondering why it took so long for him to be removed, as he had been seen as somewhat of a henchman for lawmakers in the past. Does this removal surprise you?
Well, there's a procedure for removing the chairman of the Code of Conduct Tribunal, and I think that is what the National Assembly seems to have done in this case. He hasn't been removed illegally. I think a move was made previously that would have amounted to an unconstitutional removal, but now they have gone about it the right way. So there's nothing to say more on it other than to leave the matter as it is.
But talking about the first,
it's supposed to be, it can be removed by two-thirds, a decision of the two-thirds majority of the National Assembly. Once that condition has been fulfilled, then there's nothing wrong with the removal, in my view.
Now, there was an earlier controversy regarding the process, of removal, and some people felt that there was a lack of due diligence, seeing as they cited, a wrong part of the Constitution to back the removal. So I'm wondering, is this an indication of a much deeper flaw in our legislative process, and how can this be corrected?
Well, if an attempt, or, a wrong move was made, and the attention of the authorities are called to it, and they beat a retreat and follow the right procedure, I think that they've behaved properly in the circumstance. It's different from, when you talk about the rot, it's different from what happened in the past, where the Chief Justice of Nigeria, overnight, an ex parte order was made by the Code of Conduct Tribunal, ex parte hearing, and the Chief Justice of the Federation was removed. So if you are talking about following proper procedure this time, that at that time too, the Chief Justice of Nigeria could have been removed going through the constitutional procedure of a vote or decision of the National Assembly to say is removed. I think that in this instance, the chairman of the Code of Conduct Tribunal is far, far, far lower than that of the Chief Justice of the Federation at that time. And he has now enjoyed the benefits of proper procedure of removal. So he cannot complain. He wasn't removed by ex parte order, so he should just go home and rest as far as I'm concerned.
And it seems that this particular position, the Code of Conduct Tribunal position, over the years has become heavily politicized. Why is that?
Well, I'm not a politician. I don't know why it has become, it's difficult to answer why it has become politicized. But if you look at it properly, which of our institutions that are supposed to act independently has not been politicized in Nigeria? The person who wields executive power or who has control over appointment and things like that. For one reason or the other, they just, rather than allowing these institutions to function independently, impartially, and all that, they may sometimes lean too heavily on them in order to achieve their own parochial goal. It happens, and I think that I believe that with the current Chief Justice of Nigeria, at least in the judicial arm, I'm sure that a lot of this problem will be solved, so that because the Code of Conduct Tribunal is also, in a way, part of the judicial system, even though it's like a bat. A bat in the sense that the appointment, and so on and so forth, control may be the executive, has so much influence and control over it, but it's not really, I don't think, it's subject so much to the National Judicial Council, unlike other, judicial institutions, judicial arms of the government, the state of Nigeria, So, but like I said, it is how you conduct yourself when you are in office. If you believe that you should preserve order when you have the power to do so, then you can cry, When an institution functions, when you are in control, you are in position in an institution, and you have control over it, and it functions the way it's supposed to function. When you are, anybody, whoever powerful, leans on you to turn the law upside down, and you resist, the people will see that you are trying to keep the integrity of that institution. But when, because you want to hold on to that office at all costs, you believe you are beholden to the people that appointed you, and you must obey them rather than telling them, what you're asking me to do, I cannot do it, it's illegal, it is unconstitutional, and you agree with them to do it. Now, you have undermined that institution. You have undermined our entire system of governance. And when you fall a victim eventually, don't complain to anybody.
No,
because you're only reaping what you have sown,
Very well said. Considering the initial controversy, caused by the process of his removal, can his removal be legally challenged? Is that a possibility?
No, he has only just been removed. There's no controversy about it. He has just been removed by, the decision of the Senate. He wasn't removed before. Whatever was done before was it didn't amount to a removal in law. Now he has been removed. And of course, he has the right. Every citizen of Nigeria has the right to approach the court. If he believes anything has been done wrong, to him by any authority in Nigeria, it is within his right. And if he goes to court, I'm sure the court, will function the way they want it to function, and maybe he will get his fair day in court. It's simple. He's free to go to court. But what I'm saying is I don't want to be partisan in the matter. When you look at it, from a legal point of view, he has now been removed the way the Constitution says he can be removed. If he believes that has not been done properly, he should approach the court, and the court would interpret the law for him.
What guidelines or bench points could be enacted and set in place in order to avoid this situation in the future with an issue, with the Code of Conduct Tribunal position becoming compromised and leading to a place where we have to use the Constitution to remove the individual from the position?
See, this is a country with rules. We have laws. Apart from the Constitution, we have laws, we have regulations, we have rules, and so on and so forth. As long as everybody does what he's supposed to do under the law, as long as all state officials and state institutions function the way they are supposed to function, I don't think we have any problem. It is only when the law is being subverted that we can complain. In this instance, there's no subversion of the law. The law says it can be removed in a particular way. Follow the procedure. And that procedure, so far as I know, sitting where I am now, so far as I know, I'm not a member of the National Assembly, but so far as the news of what happened goes, the procedure has been followed. There's no subversion of any law as I can see it in this instance. It has been properly removed following the constitutional procedure that is supposed to be removed. So it is only when states, well, let me put it this way, I don't know, the people, taking the steps, and so on, maybe offended them personally, maybe they're acting out of personal interest or whatever, I don't know. Maybe they didn't commit any offense, I don't know. But I'm sure maybe it's vendetta. It is possible, I don't know. But so long as the constitutional order has been followed, it's just like all these cases of impeachment of governors, deputy governors, and all that. If you follow the law, even if it is, even if the state assembly is biased against you and so on and so forth, once they follow the law and say you are removed, you can go to court and complain. Oh, they didn't follow it this way. After all, the position of chairman of the Code of Conduct or tribunal was not inherited. It doesn't belong to any particular person. It's a state office, so it's not a family title. So if the law that puts you there, or by which you were put there, now is the same law that they have followed in removing you, what's your complaint? Go and do something else. It's not the end of the world. Look for something else to do. Be busy. Look for another job.
Now, very well said. Some analysts are of the opinion that there is a need, to train and retrain our lawmakers on the law, as most of them are career politicians and are not really versed in the laws that they are supposed to be making and even upholding. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, if you take that too far, then you will say that, unless you're a lawyer, you shouldn't be a member of the National Assembly because it is the way you are trained. Well, let me put it this way. It's lawyers that are actually trained in the ways of the law to understand this. But that's not how it works. The National Assembly makes legislation on a lot of things. Medicine, regulations here and there, and so on and so forth. They represent the people. The members that arm represents the will of the Nigerian people. So you cannot say that one particular profession should dominate it. And I'm sure that you have, if you look at the membership, you have lawyers, even very senior lawyers in the membership. So you have a mix of, professions in the place. Apart from that, we need to understand too that political offices or political, people who get elected into office in most countries, in normal countries, they are not necessarily, how do I put it now? The civil service is really, the public service is really where you have, the heart of the country, the memory of the country, institutional memory, the training and all that. A member may have an idea, okay, we want to tackle this issue. They have a legislative drafting arm in the National Assembly. They discuss and they say, okay, this is what we want to achieve and so on. Is that legislative arm trained, populated by lawyers, by legal draftsmen and all that, that will actually come up with the law and advise them, advise the lawmakers properly, So I don't think that to say that they should be trained in law is, training is good. Always be educated in anything. In broadcasting, I want to be educated in how you do your work, as broadcasters. But there's no knowledge that is lost. So you can train them. But I'm saying that apart from people elected in that National Assembly, you have public servants, you have civil servants there whose job is to guide the members of the National Assembly who are professionals in different fields. And when it comes to legislative drafting, you have a whole section populated, peopled by, people, employees, government employees that, they know their onions, So I believe that we don't have any, I wouldn't say that we have so much problem in that area. Where there is a problem is, okay, you want to make, like in this Code of Conduct Tribunal matter, if they had been properly guided, they wouldn't have gone about it the wrong way they went about it the first time. They should have sought proper legal advice from, the relevant section or the relevant departments in the National Assembly or in the Senate to say, okay, we want to, this is what, and this is the procedure. They would have been properly guided. This is the procedure. This is what you are supposed to do when you want to take that kind of decision. That's the only thing. So maybe sometimes, and it's not in the National Assembly alone, you have a lot of, other units or government units in Nigeria who don't take proper legal advice or who don't seek legal advice before they jump into making decisions. But I believe they've learned their lessons, and immediately their attention was pointed to it. They've gone back to do the right thing. So I don't think we should dwell too much on that again. Thank you.
Well, we'd like to thank you, actually, for joining us this afternoon, Adeyinka Olumide-Fusika, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, for this discussion. And of course, we will see how all of this plays out in the future. Thank you so much for joining us on Newsday.